What's going on, beautiful people? It is Monday, February 19th, and for those that are listening on any DSP, this is Tuesday, February 20th, and we're here to talk sports. And we'll do so every Tuesday. And shout out to everybody watching on YouTube Live. We appreciate you for sure. We're absolutely going to dive in today to, I guess, the NBA All-Star weekend and whatever that game was that we so happened to watch. I really don't want to, but I do want to at the same time and absolutely destroy. Well, I'll just save it. So we'll definitely run into that. I know Sam wants to talk about baseball, so I put a little something on here for him, especially if he saw what Juan Soto said today, being that it's going to be a little Dominican Republic in Yankee Stadium all year long. So I'm super ecstatic about that. So we'll absolutely dive into that. But first, we're here. We're ready to do this right now. We have Sam here, the advisor. We have Harry, as I like to call him, but it's Harrison, and myself. We're here to start episode 124 of the Chasing Points podcast. Gentlemen, how the hell are you?
I'm doing good, my friend. How are you, friends? Living
good.
the dream.
I'm good.
Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy one of those things. Yeah.
He's so angry.
I know. We all jumped on, and we're recording this later than usual, and he's just aggressive this evening.
You guys are going to get a different version of me today, and it's going to be great.
He's cranky.
Salty Hayes.
Yeah, cranky Hayes.
Yeah, cranky Hayes is here, and I'm fine with that. I'm all the way. I'm all the way with that. So yes. So, gentlemen, the All-Star weekend happened. Okay. And really wish it didn't happen. And at this point, I'm essentially okay if it never happens again. So let's just jump into whatever it was that our eyes had to observe this whole weekend, and more specifically, what happened on Sunday. So yesterday, for those that are watching us now, we'll just dive. We'll get the little parts out the way that we're okay. Dame won 3-point contest again. So shout out to Dame. It was Dame time for sure. I didn't like that he did Dame time after consecutively missing several shots on that last rack, but it's okay. It's still Dame time. Mac McClung won the dunk contest again. I 100% want to just stop right there. And let's talk about the order of the events.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time to put the 3-point contest last instead of the dunk contest, unless you were going to actually go out there and get the guys that are dunking all over Instagram and doing these insane dunks, because the players that we actually want to see dunk aren't doing it. All right. And we, at this point in time, should just move on from that and allow these amateur dunkers to come in and do this, because they will put on way more of a show than these NBA players are doing. But at this point in time, the 3-point contest is way, way, way more exciting than a dunk contest. So I would love to just stop there and ask what your guys' thoughts on that.
You know what? I never even thought of that, because it's always just been the dunk contest is last, and and it hasn't. It's had its moments in the last. When was the last like great one, like Levine and Gordon going back?
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah. So like in the last 8 years, it's had a couple great dunks, but like otherwise, yeah, put the 3-point contest last. That was great. Hell, we'll get to it obviously. Steph and Sabrina, like, put that shit last. That was great. Like, and I don't know. There's just maybe because you know what you're getting in the dunk in the 3-point contest, because there's a finite amount of time, and you shoot, and if you miss, you just keep going. And I think I'm just my hot take. I'm sick of people jumping over people. Like, cool. Like, I get it. Like, McClung is short. Shaq 7'1", 350, I don't even know what he weighs now, but like that's impressive, and it's cool to say. But like, I'm over people jumping over people. Like, it's been done. It's cool. Let's try something else.
Now you think it's time? I've been I've been on this for years, man. Like this thing is so bad now. Like Jalen Brown's dunk over Kai Cenat is just a national embarrassment. Like what? Why did you put the guy that's 5'4" in a chair,
in a chair,
and then blindfold yourself with your arm afterwards?
Afterwards,
just disgraceful. It just takes all the air out of the building. I'm good. I'm good with it if it doesn't come back for a while. All the dunks have been done. There's not much we can see anymore. The dunkers that we want to see, I don't even know who those guys are anymore, aren't doing it. Sure. Yeah, sure. Throw him in there. He'll jump over someone too. So no, I agree. Like the 3-point contest is the premier event. Let's expand that. Like get 12 guys, get 16 guys. I'll watch that all night.
I agree.
Because that's something that NBA players, like they can't take that off. Like you're either shooting or you're not.
Correct.
So I feel like we need to make that the premiere of this event. And let's go from there, because the dunk contest, I agree with you guys 100%, is just not it anymore.
I also agree with the statement that you said. It didn't just happen for me this weekend. It was just really, really, really exploited for me this weekend, because I took time to actually sit there and say, you know what? I'm going to give this chance. Unlike the Pro Bowl, which I will never, ever give that a chance ever again. Even though I do like, let's be fair, I do like the flag football format because they're actually out there having fun. So I do like that a little bit more. But these guys aren't going to really give the effort. And I'm also okay with them moving the Pro Bowl after the Super Bowl so we can get the players that actually made it in there and we can see all of them in there. But, I'm just –
I said it after Pro Bowl. I'm like, it's really not for us, and it's for kids, and it's for people to see stars and all that. But the dunk contest is just another level of like disrespectful to the game. Like it's just not good at all. Like, and maybe that's me saying it as a basketball junkie and really close to the game, but it's really, really bad. It's really bad. It's a bad reflection on the sport. I get, kids want to see their favorite players, but like Mac McClung can't be your favorite player. It just can't be.
It's definitely not.
Can't. I like Mac McClung too. Like I think he's a great dunker. He brings it on all his dunks. He's a deserved winner. The fact that they tried to steal it from him and give it to Jalen Brown is also disgraceful. The judging is a problem. It's all a problem. All of it. Everything about it.
Jalen Brown should have been disqualified.
I'm like, what? Right. I'm like, why is Jalen even in the dunk contest? Like that didn't make any sense to me. But yeah, unless you're going to get, the bucket list of dunkers, right? And they don't want to embarrass themselves, and I get it. And the myth of Zion dunking now, or even out of Duke, like you don't want to exploit that if you're Zion, right? You might as well just have the narrative of like, we should have Zion, But I just, these guys don't want to embarrass themselves. They don't want to get hurt. It's unless
this is all Harrison's boy's fault. I just want to let you know this.
Don't steal Stephen A's takes.
I'm not. I haven't even watched ESPN, but it's all LeBron's fault, because ever since LeBron did it, all these stars do not do it. Because prior to him, he was the last one that everybody really, really wanted to see. And then he was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Every year, I'm good. And then now all these other guys follow suit because you follow greatness. And you're like, yeah, no, I'm going to take the LeBron route. I'm not going to get embarrassed. Where you guys aren't LeBron, you should just go out there and just dunk. Harrison, I don't care whose take it is. It's my take right now, and
I keep getting served like Instagram Reels because I'm not on TikTok because I'm an adult, and so just hot take. So I get my Reels like weeks later, like all the other older millennials do, but. Like I'm getting like highlights of like Prime and like Ken Griffey dunking, and I don't even remember when this was. I was like 6 years old or whatever. But like let's do that. Like make it a charity. Have let's have all the like premier athletes and like do something and like make it cool. The All-Star Weekend is never going away for any sport. Here's the advertising and sponsorship in me. There's too much money on the table to lose, whether it's from Nike or, soda vendors or whatever it is. Like there's just too much around this weekend for the sport. Starry. Yeah. And football's over, and now we're in this like okay, well, it's basketball, and people are getting more into basketball, into college basketball, and waiting for baseball or for the hot stove and football to start. Like, let's do something a little bit more. But you're right. Like, we can't be putting G leaguers out there and 12th men and
Yeah, it's
just having
it's
them dunk
like I
over.
said, it's the week after Super Bowl,
Yeah.
and this is what the NBA puts on. Like, it's not good. It's not. It's
Nope.
just embarrassing.
Nope.
Like all like yes, it's a hot take culture. People are gonna bash things, but Twitter is just ablaze in how bad it was, and it's like there has to be something better.
Yep.
It has to be.
Yep. I'm sure Adam Silver is already thinking about something. I mean, we obviously love the in-season tournament. That was the first year of that. That's great. But a lot of these guys look forward to this just being their time to relax, right? They're going to show up because they're an all-star, and it's an honor to be that. But nobody is going to absolutely play. And I was looking forward to one of the traditions that you see in the all-star game is the first half. We always know they don't play. They play and they do crazy dunks, and it's like, okay, that's cool. It's entertaining. Again, to Harrison's point, it's more so for the kids, right? I understand that aspect of it. But the second half was always, okay, now we're going to be competitive. And that never happened last night at all. When I see Karl Anthony Towns come down 5 possessions in a row and is windmill dunking it, 360 and doing all this, I knew it was time to turn the TV off and watch something or just go to sleep. And that's exactly what I did. After his last dunk I saw and he pointed back down, I was just like, I'm done here. I don't need to I don't need to do anything.
Here's the thing though. And I don't disagree. We talked about the Pro Bowl last week or the week before. Like, kudos to Adam Silver. I think we all agree is the best commissioner in the popular sports.
Yes, correct.
And you could say what you want about Roger Goodell, but at least I like the flag football. These stupid, I saw the catch contact. All that stuff is dumb. I like the, but it's something, right? It's not going to go away. But MLB tried to make the All-Star game count for something, and there was backlash from every which way about it, from the players because they don't want to take it seriously, to the fans and all these different things. So it's like, what do you do? I get all the older players and people around the league are like, it needs to be competitive, and then you have, I think Ant said like, no, I'm, it is what it is. Like I just want to like. So it's what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, with the game, at least it is what it is. You always hope for just it to be close in the fourth quarter, and then those competitive juices kick in, and they do start to play a little bit. But yeah, that one, I'm accepting of what it is. Should they make the quarter shorter? Should it just be a shorter game? Yeah, please. Like, I really don't need that for 48 minutes. Like, if we can shorten that somehow. I do like how the NHL splits up like different teams to kind of get maybe a different set of like mini cup going on. I could go for something like that. Maybe you do get a few more all-stars or some of these fringe guys.
Kind of
some of these fringe guys that didn't make the all-star team that feel snubbed. Maybe you can invite more people and get more stars kind of in the mix. We spend all this time talking about who should be an all-star and who shouldn't be, and then the game itself is trash. So it doesn't even matter. But I think maybe if you shorten it a little bit, maybe it's 8-minute quarters, you get to that fourth quarter a little quicker. Maybe that second half means a little bit more. But yeah, there's just not much you can do. There's no reason to risk injury in the middle of the year. It is a break. The things that they can format better, like the dunk contest or the shooting stars, or having more of like a Steph versus Sabrina field. Maybe there's more there can do there. That stuff on Saturday. Maybe there's a way to incentivize some of the rookies and sophomores a little bit, that they play a little hard on Friday. But that game's generally okay and pretty fun.
Correct.
I've always liked the Friday.
It's all good. But Sunday is what it is. There really is no fixing that one. I definitely ignore the griping on that one because every other year you get a dud. And this one was a dud.
But it was absolutely a dud.
It was funny. So afterwards, like, I'm just up and I'm like scrolling through YouTube, and the NBA put up a classic all-star game. So it was 1998 in the Garden with Kobe and Gary Payton and Kevin Garnett. The game is wildly different now. So watching that is hilarious because none of them are shooting threes. There's like 3 people packing the paint. They're like
Mhm.
they're fouling each other because there's
Mhm.
nowhere to go on the court. So it's just a wild dichotomy of like now it's like literally five guys around the 3-point line just hoisting
Yeah,
threes,
as the
and
game's been spread out.
it's
Yeah.
just so spread out. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to have 200 points because all of these guys are just prolific shooters, and the
Yeah.
game is so different. I advise anyone that's like interested, just go back and watch like an old all-star game, and you'll be like shocked at like how kind of not good it was.
I'll say this as we transition. In the second quarter, the East at one point had 91 points, and I just looked and I turned away from the TV and said, "Yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous. This is close to a game-ending score, and we have this in a second quarter." That's all I needed to know.
But what do you want it to be 60 or even like 40 to 40? Do you want it to be a college basketball score at halftime?
I don't.
You know what I mean?
I don't really care what the score is. It was just shocking to look up for a second and be like, the score is 90. They got 91 points in the second quarter. Like, it was just, to me, it was just like, okay, to Harris's point, we literally could have 200 points by the end of this game, or multiple closer to 300 points, depending on how it plays. It's just an astronomical number that it could get to.
I think it just goes to like how shockingly good these guys are at making shots now. Like they just don't really miss. Like, and they like Halliburton just going, he was like 7 for 8 in the first quarter. Dame pulling up from half court. Like you just didn't see that 20 years ago or 10 years ago even.
Not at all.
Do you think
it's tough
thing? Like it's like, well, with Jordan and that era of Kobe, of course, like I mean Kobe was young in 98, but like I'm going to take this seriously, so everyone else is. Like, even though, I mean, when LeBron speaks, people listen. He's clearly not like, he's still the elder statesman and one of the best athletes this country's ever produced. But
yeah, I don't think it's that. I mean, even regular season games, you see 140, 150 points regularly. I just think it's the maturation of the game. Like, it's like, if baseball just stuck with aluminum bats, like they're so good now. It's jarring. And it's why it's why some of the regular season games are hard to watch, because they're playing defense, but defense, there's just no answers for some of these guys now, and the talent is out there is
to your point earlier. I mean, Dame and Steph walk across half court, it's any shot for them. You know what I mean? That was not something that existed in the Jordan eras and the Kobe eras of the All-Star games and whatnot. And they also, those people, they came on the court like, hey, I'm playing against these guys and I want to beat you. Like, this is the only time I really get to play against you guys and show everybody that I'm better than you. And that was the mentality I have. Everybody in this NBA is really friends. Not saying that they weren't back then, right? It's way more friendly. These guys hang out with each other, even though they're rivals, quote unquote rivals on teams. They are way friendlier than what they were back then, right? And it's just a different game.
Yeah. I would say that too, but like, there's no way to stop this without team defense. Like,
correct.
There's no one-on-one defense that is stopping Dame Lillard or Steph Curry or LeBron James. Like, so how do you get that type of continuity with an all-star team that you just put together a couple days ago? So it's just the nature of the format and the way it is always going to lend to this, but now it's just ramped up even more because of the guys' ability to just make literally every single shot they shoot in the gym.
Correct.
You got it. You can do like a all-star offensive player and then defensive players, and you have like these guys that wouldn't make the all-star team anyway, but like are just on the perimeter guarding, like
just out there
Pat
trying
Bev on the perimeter in his prime. Drew Holiday just guarding dudes, like you can't get out of the way.
Maybe we just go. We go 5-on-7. There's like extra defensive players on the other side. I don't know.
I know you want to segue, and I know the next thing on here, but a cool thing was the LED court.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, and they so that was dope. I like that. I mean, it was a little over the top at times, but
it's been hit or miss on social media. I will tell you that much. A lot of people didn't like the bright green court at one point in time, which definitely will set your irises on fire. That's for sure. But I did enjoy watching on the celebrity game. Like they had the 6-point shots and it would just move like certain things. And then they had the wacky inflatable things that was doing it. And I was like, again, I know who it's for, but it was just entertaining to be able to have that, because just imagine seeing that on like March Madness, since we're approaching that. Like, right? Imagine seeing like they can show the highlights as you're going, like you're watching Ariel, they are just playing on the court, but you can see the highlights behind them, like on the actual court, as it has that aerial view or the view looking down. So I think they could do some really, really cool stuff with that and be able to switch it or even change colors, like, or something like that. Like, let's just say for the All-Star game, like the East has they have blue, is predominantly East color, right? When they have the ball, the court changes blue, or when the West has the ball, it changes red, or something they can just do, just be creative. I think that's just really a cool concept of it. So I think there's so much more that can be done with and will be done with it.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool, but I turned on Nickelodeon during the Super Bowl for a little bit because I think that's cool too. So
that was awesome, and I don't think we talked about it enough. And I'm highly upset with my girlfriend. Yeah. So upset with her because I was just like, when we were at a buddy's house first, and I came back to my apartment, and I was like, "Do you want to watch the SpongeBob version?" And she was just like, "No," and I was just like, "Are you sure? You're missing out." And then a week after, she's sending me clips of how Dora the Explorer is breaking down. I think it was like a holding penalty or something like that. And she's like, "I needed this." I was like, "I tried to tell you, let's watch this. There was jellyfish across the screen. You got Patrick and SpongeBob in the booth. What more?
Now you got to wait 3 more years. She's got to, because that's a CBS thing. They own Nickelodeon, so.
Well, we need that to come back. So that's all I'm saying, because it was well worth it. But
agreed.
So we've already talked about the non-competitiveness of that. We talked about the court. And we mentioned we mentioned it last week, and we were going to bring it up here now because there was a little controversy after it, but it was entertaining during. Is Sabrina against Steph, or however way you want to put it. Don't try to cancel me or whatever you want to do with your nonsense. But it was very, very interesting to see. I was excited to see it because I know. I'm pretty sure, Harrison, you're a fan of Sabrina as well, too. But I know Sam and I have mentioned it several times on here. I've been a fan of Sabrina for a while, watching what she was doing in college. And then when you see somebody like the late, great Kobe Bean Bryant take a liking to somebody like that and really be around them, it says a lot to me. Like, because these people, they have an eye for certain players. And seeing how so many players in the NBA love and respect Sabrina's game said a whole lot to me. To be the only, at this point, to my recollection, the only women's basketball player to have a shoe that transcends to the NBA as well, because NBA players are wearing her shoe out there on top of that. Now, mind you, there's been great women basketball players prior to this. Her shoe is the only one that I've ever seen on an NBA court, period. So take that into consideration. But anyway, she was shooting against Steph, and she held her own. She went first. That was the only thing that I think was kind of the downfall for her, is that she went first. So you gave Steph an opportunity to see what he had to do, and he was like, "All right, now is time to nut up or shut up." And he did, of course, because he's the greatest shooter of all time. So let's just start right there. What did you guys think of that? And we'll get to the controversy next.
I thought it was awesome. I don't think that could have went any better. Like, obviously, she started 7 for 7, hot out the gates. I was like, oh, wow, she might not ever miss. So, no, I loved it. I love that stuff. I love Sabrina. I love her game. I've loved it for a long time. Same as you guys. You got to respect greatness. So, yeah, no, it was great to watch. Yeah, it is unfair. Why does Steph get to watch? Like, maybe blindfold them.
Don't let Steph see it.
Put him in a booth, like a dating game or something. Like something like he can't know what the score is. Obviously, he's gonna be able to hit that. He's the greatest shooter of all time. So other than that, it was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, I agree. I was looking forward to it for a while. Like, kudos to both. Or I think Steph initiated it right after she won her 3-point contest.
Well, no, she called Steph out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She called Steph out, and they just made it happen from there.
I mean, Brandon and I, from the beginning of this podcast, have been talking about her. I got her autograph right over my shoulder here. Awesome. She's great, and what she's doing for women's game. And if there's just a handful of girls out there that are just like, look, I went toe to toe, and I don't know how many baskets each of them made. I mean, I know some of them were worth more points. but like she almost beat Steph Curry.
Yeah,
in
Steph
a-
won
in
by
a-
1, didn't he? Or he won by 4. Excuse me.
well,
4.
like 3 points,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
how many baskets?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that, crunch time and like this ball means more. So I get that on it. But yeah, she and stepped up to the challenge. She shot from the three, like the NBA three, and and she would have made the finals in the 3-point contest
Yep.
if she was,
She had the same number as
up against
Dame.
everyone else. Yeah.
Yep.
Same number as Dame.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
I
like
think
there was no loser in this,
no.
in my opinion. And I hope they do it again. I wish there was more of it. Like they could have easily done another round. I've heard let's get Dame and Caitlin Clark in it and do all these things. Like, great, whatever. Let's, I'm again, this is the kind of stuff that I think as we're experiencing it and evolving it, probably will, take over some of these legacy events that just aren't, up to what they used to be, as we talked about for the first 20 minutes.
There was one loser in this, and his name is Kenny Smith.
Yeah, well,
what are you talking about, my boy?
I
love Kenny Smith. I love Kenny Smith. But like, what was that comment?
He's a Hall of Famer. He's a 2-time champ.
I met him in London. Great guy.
Seems like a great guy. He played for a college that is my favorite college for basketball. He's also a hooper, I believe, from New York. So yeah. He said a comment that he probably should have just held off and kept in his mind. But he said she should have shot from the women's line. That would have been a fair contest. Well, Kenny, you just said that immediately after watching what she did, and she only lost because Steph hit the rack that had the balls that were multipliers because he was missing several of them. And if he didn't have that,
right,
possibly could have lost. So she didn't need to do anything. She was fine. She shot with a WNBA ball, which she should. That's what she's used to. And she shot from the men's 3-point line, which she didn't have to do. She wanted to prove a point, and she can say, I am a baller. I can shoot anywhere at any point in time. And I don't know if you watched it live, but Reggie Miller immediately was just like,
yeah, Reggie,
what are you trying to say? And then he told him, he's like, Sabrina, don't ever let any man tell you what you can and can't do. And I was just like, yo, Kenny.
What's wild to me, though, after that, the top of the key and then the rack between the corner and the top of the key there, I think Kenny said, when Steph was shooting, I think Sabrina has this. And again, to the point of that last rack had, the more, more points. But I thought it was Kenny that said that. So immediately after it was over to say it would have been fair, like I'm sure he would immediately. I don't know if he walked it back. I'm sure he didn't feel great after hearing the criticism about it. But yeah, I mean, and I'm sure there was a lot more discourse on the the trolls on the internet and whatnot. But
they've been trying to cancel Kenny for years anyway.
I mean, I just mean
all that. So
I don't even mean Kenny. I mean trolls against this what Sabrina and what the women's game has been doing and. In this moment, I knew she wouldn't be set like that kind of BS. I'm sure that is out there. I don't spend my time doing that, but yeah, that was a sour moment because it was like that wasn't even necessary. She held her own. You know what? And if she only scored 20 points, it still would have been a hell of a performance because again, she did it.
She absolutely did. She absolutely did. Yeah. She also had such amazing kicks on her Sabrina ones in the Liberty colors with the ice blue bottom.
Seafoam, yeah.
Whew, I need those. Anyway, so now that the All-Star break is over, thank God, we can get into the preview for the second half of the year. So we have the current standings here, which I'm going to look down and read this. So currently right now, the Celtics are in the first spot, 43 wins, 12 losses. Cavs are second, 36-17. Bucks third, 35-21. Knicks fourth, 33-22. Sixers 32-22. Pacers at 6, 31-25. Heat, 30-25. Magic, Bulls, Hawks. Okay, so you have that for the East. For the West, I'm not going to give all. I'll give the top 3 records for this one. I don't need to do all of that. Timberwolves 1, 39-16. Thunder 2, 37-17. Clippers 3, 36-17. Then you have the Nuggets 4, Suns 5, Pelicans 6, Mavs 7, Kings 8, Lakers 9, and Warriors 10. All right, so Western Conference, you definitely saw some names, or I've said some names on there that you can 100% see being at the top. I could definitely, if you've watched in the past couple of years of how the Western Conference has shuffled around in the last few months, it's very, very possible. Just looking at the records, they're not far off from each other right now anyway, most of those teams anyway. So it could change at any point in time. Same with the East right now, because as I mentioned last week, the East is definitely different from the East that we kind of grew up with, or in the later 2010s. It was definitely dominance from the West. But right now, gentlemen, I have a question for you, some questions, some predictions, and want to see what you have here. So for the Eastern Conference Championship game, I need who you believe is going to be in the game, and who you think is going to be the winner, and the same for the Western Conference. So Harrison, since I'm looking at you, who do you have for the Eastern Conference in the championship game, and who do you have as the winner?
For the Eastern Conference, I have Knicks and Celtics.
Okay.
I like the Celtics coming out of that one.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm rooting for Dame and the Bucks. I want to see him get a ring. I just don't think is currently constructed right now they can get over the hump. So I really love what the Knicks have constructed. They're doing it the right way. They have some great pieces. They're a gritty team. They're going to be ready to play playoff time. And then the Celtics are just a class above the rest of the East right now. So that's who I have on the East side.
Sam.
Yeah, I will admit I haven't been locked into basketball as much as I usually have, but like, hope I will change that. But I'm going with Harrison's picks here too. I think the Celts ultimately come out of the East as presently constructed. Again, we were worried about this with Milwaukee, and I don't know what the hell's going on in Milwaukee anyway. I mean, how many games they're 3-7 their last 10 games? Is that all Doc? Like,
they had their toughest road stretch. So
Sure.
it's I'm not writing them off at all. I think
No.
they'll be right there. But they had a tough road stretch. I think they'll get it together and they'll be fine. I just don't see them as good as the Knicks and the Celtics. That's all. I think they'll be right there.
Yeah, I mean, without trying to be a homer, I just think that the way the Knicks play basketball, is built better for playoff basketball. And I mean, they have depth now. Hopefully, OG, Julius Randle get healthy. They've lost their last 4 games, but that the way they play basketball is a way to win in this league. And I mean, the Celtics are cruising right now, 43-12. But I'd love Dame to get a ring, but also Tatum and Tatum's in his prime right now, and that team's deep too and playing really well. So hopefully they can get out of
Jaylen Brown doesn't deserve it after that dunk contest performance.
Yeah,
I'm so mad at that.
That's why I didn't name.
I'm so mad at that.
Yeah. I think first off, to Knicks fans, when they don't make it to this game, please come back to this podcast and give Harrison and Sam both shit for getting your hopes up. That's number one. Number two.
You don't know what it's like to be a Knicks fan, dude. We don't have any hope. Like, I'm not going to bed like, oh man, I hope the Knicks make the Eastern Conference Finals.
Sam,
like, if they made it, I'd be happy enough.
You can't even utter the word hope because you're a Knicks fan and a Jets fan. So I don't even want to hear the word hope come out of your mouth. So that's that. Bucks, Celtics for me. I do believe that the Bucks will figure it out. I think with Giannis, I think he has a point to prove. And I think Dame 100% has a point to prove that he finally got out of Portland, and this is what it is. Yes, they need time to gel. Like Harrison said, that stretch was really, really tough for them. but also to Doc's point of what he said in the press conference, a lot of guys' minds were in Cancun already. And you can clearly see the way that they were playing. They were not there. So I'm really, really curious to see how that's going to transpire moving forward. But I definitely teetered back and forth between the Bucks and Celtics winning because the Celtics, to both of your points and your selections, the Celtics are tough. Compared to what we saw last year to this year, it is night and day. It's like what they were 2 years ago. Was it when they had that run before when Ime Ndoku was the coach? They look like they are back to that point. Picking up Porzingis was a great look for them. If he can stay healthy, that's huge. That's definitely going to help them out going down the road. But I have the Bucks winning and getting to the finals. So for the Western Conference, I'll just go since I'm already talking. I have the Timberwolves and the Clippers. I know the Nuggets right now are the defending reigning champ, but I really, really, really like that combo of Cat and Anthony and Ant-Man. Ant-Man he's just such a phenomenal player. And if you have not watched, because I'm sure a lot of people don't watch Timberwolves games outside of really, really watching or being a fan, but if you haven't had an opportunity to watch the Timberwolves and watch Ant-Man play, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you would 100% need to watch this man play because he is an absolute monster. Cat has turned his career around to me after the whole Jimmy Butler beef with him when he was there, being soft and whatnot, showing his range, being able to somewhat be a leader on this team and turn it around. He's played some really, really good basketball in recent years, but I believe the Clippers finally have an opportunity to get to where they're supposed to be and what they were supposed to do for a while, depending on what always derails them, which is injuries. That is the one thing. They cannot win. Injuries are undefeated against the Clippers. Injuries win against the Clippers over and over again. And if they can stay healthy, though, I really see they have veteran leadership. With Ty Lue at the helm, I don't see people beating the Clippers. I could definitely see the Nuggets being there, but this is just who I got right now. So Timberwolves, Clippers winning.
Yeah, I mean it's always been the asterisk next to this Clippers team. At least, I mean, even before Kawhi and PG, but like you just want to talk about this era of Clippers basketball is, it's just health. I mean, when Kawhi is on the court, he's the best two-way player in basketball. If not, he's, it's a lot of hyperbole, but like he's right there. And PG when healthy too, and playing well, and they have good pieces on this team. And I love Ty Lue, but it's I guess we'll see once April comes around. But yeah, no doubt that the talent is on this team, and it's been on this team. It's just can they put together? And so far so good, but there's a
all right. Stop talking about my pick and talk about your pick, because I want to know why you have the Nuggets and Thunder.
I just think the Nuggets. I don't think the conference title matters that much to them. Obviously, it's not last year's team. I will say every time, and I was laughing so hard. I saw this meme years ago, but every time I see Jokic shoot, it looks like he's playing in flip-flops. And I can't get that out of my head for 2 years now. Just I'm watching it. I mean, I've watched Nugget games all year last year since I've seen this. And I'm like, it looks like he's playing in Old Navy flip-flops, dude. Like and it's so funny, but he's just so good. And I'm so surprised he can't dunk. Like, as big as he is, whatever. I just think this Nuggets team is really deep. They've been there before. They have a lot of pieces. Again, like magic things happen in April and everything in May, and they have to all click. And I've learned my lesson from saying this Lakers team will put it together. This Lakers team will put it together, and then they one and done, or they're just didn't even make it out of the play. And so like I'll learn my lesson there. But I like this Nuggets team. And Thunder just they look good. I mean, they're young. I'm worried about that they have a lot of pieces that could still need developing, right? But it starts at the top with them, and I know we'll get into SGA in a second, but he's playing out of his mind. He was playing out of his mind last year too, and if you're the Clippers, Paul George is great, but to have to give up all those picks and know that SGA was this kind of raw talent, it's basically he's transformed into an MVP candidate for sure, and I think they'll go pretty far if he's playing the way he's playing. But
Harrison, chime in because you have the same exact pick.
Yeah,
Same.
I have the same. It's more so for some of the holes that I see with the Timberwolves and the Clippers. Obviously, you mentioned the health with the Clippers. I can't in good faith pick them because I know they're going to get hurt somehow in some way, and then it comes all crashing down after that. With the Timberwolves, I don't love them in close games. This year they've played a few that are it's just interesting to see how they distribute the ball at the end of the game. I love Cat and I love Anthony Edwards, but who's the guy and in the playoffs I think you need to have a guy that is the one that's going to bring it home for you at crunch time, and the playoffs have way more than that. They're obviously good in games where they're, blowing out the opposition, but when it comes to the close ones, they're a little bit shaky. So that's kind of why I don't have them there. Why I do have the Nuggets there, I still love their depth. Jokic is still best player in the league, even though I think I have Shai as the MVP. And then on the other side, with the Thunder, SGA, he is, we mentioned Kawhi is the best two-way. Shai is that right now. He is the best two-way player in the league. And it's why I have him as my MVP and why I have the Thunder right up there. It's going to be a little bit of a Cinderella story. They're obviously very young, but I love the roster they have around him. The depth they have is insane. And I just see them as a tough team to beat. But I do have the Nuggets beating them just because of that depth and that experience once we get there.
Okay. So our final predictions at this point, I have the Bucks, Clippers. Harrison has the Celtics, Nuggets, and so does Sam. You both have the Nuggets winning back-to-back this year, and I have the Bucks winning this year. If you guys want to add some extra comments, please go for it and why you chose that. If not, we will move on to our MVP conversation.
I hope the Bucks are able to get there. I think they would pose a bigger threat to the Nuggets, just matchup wise. I think it's a tougher guard with Giannis for the Nuggets. If they get there, my pick would change. I think the Bucks would win, but because I have Nuggets and Celtics, I think the Nuggets with their experience with Jokic are the team to beat still.
That's fair. I'm just still envisioning in the playoffs, Giannis and Dame having the most deadliest pick and roll ever. And if Doc knows what's good for this team and he implements it, I'd practice it all practices. Like, we're not touching this until we get into the playoffs, because what are you going to do with Giannis coming down the court, running full speed at you? You can't stop him. And if you sag off for Dame for a second and he has that shot, it doesn't even matter. If you have a little space, Dame, all he has to do is that a quick little step back and he creates more space and that shot's going up. So it's so hard. But I really feel that the key to this team outside of obviously those two is Middleton, because he can shoot the rock. Is he injured right now again?
He's not injured, but he will be.
So you see my point. If he can stay healthy, that is the key factor right there, because he helps space that. And if you try to help on either one of those two guys, if he can knock down shots like that and be open, it'd be absolutely crazy.
I'm sorry, he is injured right now.
Shocker.
We've seen Dame
ankle sprain, nothing crazy.
Yeah, we've seen Dame will worst teams to Western Conference Finals and make insane clutch shots. So you're in my ear here, Hayes, because I need to take a another look at this too. I mean, they can certainly outscore anyone, but they're going to be, the defense is where, as much as we all love Dame, the lack of defense there and not having Drew Holiday is, we all thought in the beginning of the season, or even when that trade was made, like this was going to be an issue. It has been. Again, the playoffs are its own beast, and they can outscore anybody. They can run with anybody, and I would not want to go, through the paint with Giannis there. But can they stop anyone? We don't know yet. So
they might get hot right now too.
Yeah.
So their next 5 games. So they got Timberwolves. That'll be a good one. But then they got the Sixers, who are obviously without Embiid and downtrodden. They got the Hornets twice, and then the Bulls.
Oh yeah.
So they could rattle off all 5, and then we're looking at a March 4th matchup with the Clippers. The narrative could flip quick on the Bucks. I want them to be there. I truly do. I think they would be the most fun matchup. Giannis against Jokic, Dame going for a ring. That's the most fun to me. So I hope it happens.
I pray it does. So let's get into MVP. We've all mentioned, well, at least you two have mentioned Shai a couple of times here. But now I'm going to mention Shai. So for the MVP vote, both Sam and Harrison have Shai as the MVP. I have Jokic, but I have put in parentheses, I wish it to be Shai. And the only reason right now that I have Jokic, and Sam made a good point in his notes for us, which you guys cannot see, is the Jokic fatigue, which was in place last year, some believe, even though I do believe Embiid could have won in any of these years that it was between him and Jokic. But I think at this point in time, Jokic is still playing out of his mind, right? And it's going to be hard for them to turn away and say, well, we can't give him the MVP. That's the only reason I have chosen him to be that at this point, is because he's still doing the same thing that he was doing the year he won, last year when he didn't win.
Yeah,
and, I think that, it hasn't changed. So it's hard to say that he's not. But I again, voter fatigue does play a part in this. And Shai is that fresh, shiny, new guy in this conversation. But I just think for those reasons, Shai won't be it. But I would love to see for him to win that.
Yeah,
I
just think the Thunder are a game and a half out of first place.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of the NBA beat media, NBA Twitter has been waiting for SGA to do this. And, you could argue he's been doing it for a while, but now the team is better around him, and he's no doubt the leader of this team. The fatigue's one thing. I think if the Thunder and voting ends at the end of the regular season, if they continue to stay right where they are or win the West, and it could still be the Nuggets too. They're only 3 games out, but I think that means more, and adding the fatigue in there may be what gives them over top. I agree with you, Hayes. Like, you could get, if the season ended right now, you could give it to Jokic, and that would be, I wouldn't contest it. I didn't really have, an opinion last year about it. I thought it was fine that Embiid got it, but just knowing now that the Nuggets finally got over the hump, they won the title last year. I guess it really just depends how the next couple months play out, because again, if the Thunder are right there and he's healthy and playing the way he's playing, I think he's going to win the MVP.
Yeah, your reasoning is the same as mine, Sam. I think if the Thunder can stay at 2 and then get to 1, I think that changes the narrative a lot, because obviously voters definitely weigh where the team finishes based on the MVP race. Do I agree with that? No, not really. It's a team. They're both separate, but that's the way people have traditionally voted. So for me, if Shai is in first place, he's second in scoring right now, and then also on the defensive side, he's averaging 2.2 steals a game. He's the only guy over 2. So
wow.
defensively, he is a monster. So I think the media knows how to spin it a little bit. So it's like, all right, let's get behind the Shea bandwagon. He plays both sides of the ball. He's a superstar on the top team in the league.
Yep.
That's why I think he can come in and steal it. Jokic's numbers are silly. I mean, obviously, we all know that if they give it to Jokic, if they give it to Shea, it'll be fine. They're both very deserving. But that's the route I see for Shea and why I think he's going to steal it. Not steal it, but take it.
Do you think Giannis gets hurt because Dame's on his team?
Yeah, for sure.
Meaning like
in MVP voting, you mean?
I'm just looking at the odds here on DraftKings. Is Jokic is minus 140, Shea's at plus 210, and Giannis is at 800. Luka's at 1100. So like
it's affected by Dame. You have another top 5-10 player on your team, and you are a top player in itself. Like I think it's just really, really going to be hard against them. So I think that's definitely, it's not his fault, but yeah, absolutely. Voters are going to look at it. Well, you had this other guy, and if you didn't do this, you're not the most valuable technically. The voting on this is so weird to me because it's definitely a popularity contest type shit. It's just to the point of what Harrison just said a second ago is it's historically the best player on the best team with the best record, right? So it just is.
I don't like that it's that, but that's usually what it is.
I don't either. It kind of is what it is. All right, so we basically all want Shea. So. Good talk. Other news, the surprising news, but I kind of saw it happening as a Nets fan. Jacque Vaughn fired 5 days after the Nets lost by 50 points to the Celtics. So glad I didn't watch that game. So glad I don't have the Yes Network that I have to pay for separately because it's not on YouTube TV. So glad I didn't get to watch it. It was great times. Kevin Ollie is going to be the interim head coach. Apparently, this came out shortly after the firing, but Bridges and the other players didn't like the offensive structure. No kidding. So that is what the rumor is of that. Any thoughts on that before we move on to some baseball?
Man, it's been 5-6 years of no player on the Nets liking anything about the Nets. It's no offense here, Hayes, but like I mean, from the jump, getting Kyrie and KD here, and then just
don't forget Kyrie and KD said they didn't need a coach.
Yeah, and then
so there's that.
Then you have a Hall of Famer who has no coaching experience be your coach, letting them do whatever the hell they want. They don't like it then. Then you have James Harden. I mean, and now you have Mikal Bridges, who I'm assuming we all love because I do. I do as well. And it just no one likes this team. I don't know. Hayes, you have the floor, man. I don't have anything to say. I don't watch enough Nets to know what's going on.
They're trying to find their identity, and they don't have one at this point in time. It's like Malik is the star player, but the puzzle piece that they've been trying to figure out, even when KD and Kyrie and James Harden was there, is where do you put Cam Thomas, right? Because Cam Thomas is literally a guy that can get buckets at any time, but he's also a guy that can absolutely go into a complete dry spell. Then here's the other conundrum, known as Ben Simmons, because Lord knows what he is doing or not doing, or whatever the case may be. I don't know if he's even considered a basketball player anymore, but this young man apparently needs a whole new back because that seems to be what happens over and over again. So nobody knows what's going on there. Again, I just think they're trying to build for the future, and they're going to try to build around Bridges, and hopefully they do what they should have done a long time ago, which it pains me to watch the Celtics with Jason Tatum because I'm pretty sure that's a Nets pick. See Jaylen Brown, which I'm pretty sure is a Nets pick, play on the #1 team in the East because they traded away for some old fogies and all that. So I hope it's finally time to sit there and really start to build around a young core and do what they have to do and stop going out and searching to get a superstar because it's burnt you twice. So stop going out and try to get a superstar and build somebody homegrown and work from there. But they won't learn because it's New York and it's Brooklyn and they want to get somebody to be the face of the franchise. It's a superstar.
They turned down.
They'll learn.
Yeah.
They'll learn because they have to. They don't have any cap space. They're
True.
cap hell for the next 3 years. So
Very
they're,
they're strapped.
There'll be a couple more coaches that get fired too.
It's
Sorry,
just
Hayes.
crazy because before Kyrie and KD even came here, all you heard about with this team was just the vibe and the chemistry and the atmosphere. Was
look at the
like
bench. The bench was the most energetic bench that we've seen in a while.
Right.
Dancing, all like that was
a
Kenny
team
Atkinson,
led by
right?
D'Lo.
The head coach, right?
What's that?
What was his name? Kenny Atkinson, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Couldn't get enough.
Just
this Nets team at the time.
I'm so confused. How do you lose KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, and I'm looking at the salary cap number now, and they're like worse off. How is that possible?
Bad deals. Bad deals.
How is this possible?
Really, really bad deals. And
Ben
the money
Simmons
that you
is
have
making. Ben Simmons making $40 million.
I was just about to say Ben Simmons is the biggest one of them all because nobody wants Ben Simmons' contract because nobody wants Ben Simmons.
You know what? They can trade that one next year because it's expiring.
Good.
But you got another year of that.
Trade them all.
That's got to be why they weren't expiring because KD signed this deal and then was gone. What the next season?
They got Ben Simmons at 40, Cam Johnson at 23, Mike McHale at 23, Dorian Finney-Smith making 15 mil, Dennis Schroeder making 14 mil. They are just lighting money on fire. Just lighting money on fire.
Yeah, I know you need to have a floor, but a cap floor, right? Like no team can just like
they're 30 million over.
Jeez.
It's not good.
Yeah.
30 million over, nothing to show for it.
I'm glad they have all those seconds, right? Sorry, Case.
Sam, you can do whatever you gotta do. You're in your glory right now as a Knicks.
I have not been all year pounding my chest about the Knicks. I think the first time I mentioned it was like 2 weeks ago.
Don't worry. I'm gonna kick you when you're down. Don't worry. I got you.
No, I'm just
I got you.
Here's the thing, dude. Mm-hmm. You had what every Knicks fan wanted, and they came to you, and it was a complete dumpster fire. It is not your fault that this franchise has been upside down since then. It's not your fault. But I understand how you feel.
He's talking me off the fan like I'm a goddamn Knicks fan right now, and I really
dude. It has nothing to be a Knicks fan. I don't even until recently I don't even think about the Knicks. Like they're not part of my like life until because it's just another.
They're a part of all your lives. Your Knicks fans is part of all your lives. You all have secret Knicks tattoos somehow, some way, somewhere.
I get what Sam's saying though. Like I'm a Jets fan, but it's not part of my life. Like I don't care what they
just
so I would like them to win.
Idea that the Jets are going to start hot. They're going to have expectations, and then it's going to go into flames. Yeah. And it's just so like that's it. And you could make the same case about the we're all Yankee fans here, like the same thing. Like, but it's I'm not pounding my chest. I'm just saying the Nets had everything everyone else around the league wanted, and it's not necessarily their fault that this whole thing went up in flames. But it's like, okay, now what do you do to fix it? They have a very high price tag for if you want McHale on your team, you're going to have to give up a lot because I heard like they turned down multiple ones and like good players and stuff. That's a great start. You have a cornerstone piece, and
he's also the only thing they have, so they really can't.
Correct.
Correct. He's literally
you let him go, nobody's coming to Nets games. I don't care how.
He's just the only piece. Like you got to hold that piece for a king's ransom. Like he is all they have. I like McHale. He's not that, but I don't blame them for doing that.
Yep. Yeah.
Totally.
Pretty shitty. So let's get to a team that's been pretty shitty. The Yankees. The full squad.
What a segue.
The full squad has reported for the first workout. There is a very interesting sighting of a skinny Giancarlo. He is slimmed down. Sam sent it to us in our group chat, and Giancarlo has actually he was interviewed, and he said, "I want to be back to a baseball player again, and just want to play
back to Mike
baseball." Yeah, I guess so. Again? Guess so. I don't know how that's gonna work, we'll see. I guess he's just going to try to play regular baseball again. I don't know what that looks like. Never been really the greatest fielder, so I don't know if he's still going to just be like DH or what this looks like for him. But I guess we'll wait and see how this turns out. What are your thoughts on slim down Giancarlo?
I mean, what else? I guess it's the best possible solution coming into coming out of the winter, right? Like at least he's realized that he has bulked up too much. He's had some unlucky injuries throughout his 10 years in baseball. He's got hit in the face. But a lot of it is just muscle injuries, right? So, that is more Hayes, you both of you would know better than I would. I don't, I'm not going to pretend to be a doctor, but like, I just feel like that's more on the player, and the fitness routine and all of that, but it's not unlucky. It's like if there's something wrong with your oblique, you tear a hamstring, you sprain an ankle, like that's on the body that's the player. That's not necessarily the game of baseball in a way.
To be clear, it's some people's bodies just give up on them. To highlight more what Sam is saying is some players' bodies just cannot hold up. And we're watching a sport that baseball is just such a long sport. Like it's not as taxing as you would say a football game is, right? Or maybe even the NBA, or even hockey, right? But there's still a lot of things that you have to do. If you've never played baseball at a higher level or played baseball at all, you can tweak your body, you can tweak your oblique in one swing and not even realize it. Just being off just a little bit will absolutely do that. Pitching, your pec, shoulder, running, hamstring, sliding into the base, spraining ankles. So baseball is very taxing on your body for what you have to do. And yes, to slim down, I think his body is more of a baseball body now. Like if you even look at him standing next to Judge, where his body is like, Aaron Judge is a big dude, but he's not like a big muscular dude. Like Giancarlo was a muscular dude. He put on that weight to, I guess, just crack home runs out of there. But the thing is with baseball, you have that power no matter what with that swing. Yes, you're putting on mass that's naturally going to give you more power, but that swing's not going anywhere. That velocity of that swing is not going anywhere. It'll still be able to get out there. So I think it'd be interesting to see what he does. As I said to you guys, I just hope this slims down at his strikeouts, because that's just been his problem. So, yeah.
I like it. It shows, if anything, it shows he cares. It shows he cares a little bit to be better or to want to improve. And he knows he hasn't been, at the top of his game or worth the money that's being paid to him. So it's a good start, just let's see it and go from there.
Agreed.
He has a total 8 WAR in the 6 seasons that he was a Yankee. And it's really just, it's really bad. So anything is better than what we've gotten the last couple of years, at least.
Well, hopefully the Yankees get better with some more pitching, because they put in an offer to Blake Snell, and we will see what he decides to do. Because if I remember correctly, the Giants and the Giants and Dodgers are looking at him?
I think the Angels are in the mix.
It's Giants and
He's
Angels.
from
That's
Seattle.
There you go.
Yeah,
Giants
I heard Seattle's in the mix.
So it's going to be very interesting. He's pretty much the hot commodity right now, to see what happens. I really feel the Yankees 100% need to do all they can to get him. We don't know. Excuse me, not we. I'm not on the team. As a fan watching the Yankees, we do not know what Randon is going to bring. We saw what last year was, and it's. I just don't know what it's going to be. And Stroman, we got him now, which we don't know which version of Stroman he's going to be. He's getting up there in age or whatnot. We do know what Garrett Cole is going to be. We also don't know what Nestor is going to be, because last year, even when he was healthy, he wasn't the best version of himself or what we saw. So very, very curious, but I do feel the Yankees need to pull the trigger, or it's really not on them. It's really on Blake at this point. So
yeah, He's got a Cy Young in both leagues. His whip is always really high, and it kind of worries you. Him pitching in Yankee Stadium, whereas Stroman's more of a ground ball pitcher, and I think I've come around to liking that he'll be pitching in Yankee Stadium, and I'm gonna chalk up Rondon to just. I mean, he had an injury in spring, and then he had another injury, and he was just never healthy. And I'm just hoping if you get the last a year or two in San Francisco and before that in Chicago, like if you get that Carlos Rodon to match up with Garrett Cole, like that's a lethal 1-2 punch. It kind of brings you to all of the Scott Boras big name agent players. They're still inside. And here that's the Boras playbook. He'll get you your money. You're going to end up playing in Detroit like Pudge Rodriguez did or Javi Baez, but like he'll get you your money. But now, I mean, players are reporting now, and you have Cody Bellinger, Matt Chapman, Blake Snell, and Jordan Montgomery, some of the bigger names of this offseason still without a home. So, Snell turned down what, like 5 years, 30 something a year. He's probably not getting better than that, especially now. So is it worth the flyer where you take a couple years with some opt-outs to, show that you can keep doing it? I don't know, but they overplayed this market because the Yankees are pretty much been out of big names now that they have Soto. The Dodgers have certainly spent $1 billion already. So I don't see any of these guys going there, and some of the bigger market teams have kind of shied away from these guys. So who knows where they're going to end up.
Harrison, your thoughts on this?
Not much.
Okay. It's good enough.
Sorry. They're just, there's some solid pitching out there. I mean, nothing that's going to really, some will move the needle. I don't know. They're just, none of these names are super intriguing to me. And, I think we're going to have to roll what we have and hope, for good health.
Fair. Before we get out of here, Anthony Rendon's comments about his job. This is a job, he said on Monday. I do this to make a living. My faith, my family comes first before this job. So what he's basically telling you all is I pulled the robbery and I got all of this money. And if I'm here to play, I'm here to play. If I'm not, I'm not. And I'm here with my family. I'm just trying to sum up what the people on X have pretty much been saying in a very, very nice way, because people on there have not been nice about him at all. And it is very entertaining. If you want to go and read the comments of what people are saying, do that at your own discretion. But it is, if you just want to laugh for a little bit, absolutely go on social media and see where anybody's talking about this. It's
I wouldn't be. I feel like most athletes feel this way. They're just not,
of course,
dumb enough to say it out loud.
Yeah,
Basically, Nikola Jokic said it after the championship last year. It's just, it's a job, man. They get paid a lot of money to do a job.
Correct.
And it's just different. So, yeah, I get. Obviously, the backlash on social media is going to be massive, but I would wager, 50-60% athletes probably feel this way.
I just think it's more highlighted because of the team he plays for.
Sure.
And as much money as they've spent out there for the Angels, and for them to absolutely go nowhere. You had Shohei, he's not there anymore. You have Trout, obviously still there, always injured. And now you have Anthony here, who is now also always injured. So there's a bunch of money that was invested in these three players. Well, two for sure, and now you still have nothing to show for it. So I think that's
perfect.
What's highlighted
spot for him.
Yeah,
it is.
It's
a perfect spot for him. It's not a priority in LA. The Angels.
Yeah. I really wish that Trout would have just went to. I would have loved him for the Yankees, but I really wish he would have went to the Phillies when he had that opportunity to sign the contract, that long contract. I feel that would have just been a better look for him.
He was never a free agent, though.
I know.
He signed it while he was still,
But he would have, if he didn't sign it, he would have been a free agent. Correct?
I don't know if it was that year or year after, but yeah,
I think the year after he was
totally.
going to be free agent. Yeah.
Yeah, at some point very soon he was going to be. I think it's because it's Anthony Rendon. This gets the backlash, as you guys have mentioned. Jokic, you take it in jest. He's a goofy kind of guy in the sense of like he doesn't take himself very seriously, and that's great. And he's foreign, and like the media eats it up. They think it's just him being him kind of thing. Where it's Rendon. What's that?
He just cares about his horses. That's all.
Yeah, and again, that's fine. I mean, I love my job, I love my career, I love what I do. I certainly put my family and other obligations ahead of it, as I hope we all do in that sense. But he signed this huge deal in 2020, and I think that's why he's got the target on his back already. I mean, weeks ago he said, "I wish the season was shorter." Again, not wrong. But the 2020 season, there were 60 games. He played 52. Great. Since then, 58, 47, 43 games.
Yeah, he's not the one
making $30 million a year.
He's not the one to say that.
And then on the contrast is you have Mike Trout saying, this team needs to get better. I want this team to get better, but I want to be loyal to here. And I'm not going to. There may be a time where I start thinking about I need to get out of here. I'm paraphrasing. That time isn't right now. So on the contrast, you have one of the best players of this generation, if not the best, on your team saying the exact opposite thing. Whether he's quietly like, I make $40 million a year. The checks are cashing. I'm having fun. I'm going to the Hall of Fame. It's all good. I don't necessarily disagree with this is my job. This is what I do. What I do. It's not who I am. But like, you can't say that, especially with the recent history that this guy has, because before that you could count on him, and he was a very good player.
I will say this and say this alone. And to your point, we all have jobs. Not all of us like our jobs. I'm not speaking for either of you. Not all of us like our jobs, and we act as fans because it's our fan base that we root for, and we see how much money that these uber talented athletes, which most of us cannot do what they do, are not playing because they're injured, or they say some things like this. They're human too. Yep. They're human too. And some people also, you can get paid by a job, get a promotion, or leave a job and go to another place and get the money that you want to get. And then you get to that job and you find out it's not where you want to be, right? Yeah. After you start doing that. So if you put it into that light, that perspective, and understand and kind of make it more relatable to you, it makes sense. You don't necessarily like where you work all the time, but again, he's not the person to be saying this. I
don't even think he said. I mean, I don't know. Just look on it at face value. If someone said to you, "My top priority is my family and not my job," I'd be like, "All right, man, cool, same." Yeah. Same.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue that
with anybody. Same. Yeah, I guess it's just this guy's history. Obviously, I don't know his history. I don't follow him too much. So just reading the comment, I'm like, yeah, facts.
If it wasn't him, it would be fine. That's what it comes down to.
Just like, hey, baseball season should be shorter. Yeah, facts.
Yeah,
should
totally,
be.
Dude.
See, but this is perfect though. Like Harrison doesn't know much about him, and this is a perfect example of a person that doesn't know much about this person. Is like, that's great to people like Sam and I that know a lot about him and his history. It's just like, okay, I can see why people are saying this about him, right? If you don't know, you're just like, okay, this is nothing. But people that are fully invested in it is like, why the hell would you say that? Like, what are you doing? Like, so yeah, it's very, very interesting to see. But
try saying that to LeBron, where, I mean, obviously a different atmosphere of talent, but here's a guy who invests millions in his body and nutrition and all of that, and obviously has different aspirations, right? He wants to be the greatest of all time. He wants to be, off the court just as dominant as he is on the court. So, I know it's different, but like, that's that gear, that just great athletes, great people at their jobs and their talent, like they just want to achieve. There's nothing wrong with.
Some people also don't want to be the greatest of all time for certain things. They just want to be really good at what they do, get what they have to get, and go away. So there's
Yeah.
that perspective of it
It's
too.
different motivations. I don't know much about it, so I was scrolling on Twitter, and like one other comment he said was like in some interviews, like, I don't wish this life on anyone. I'm like, okay, I get I get it.
Yeah,
That's a little much. I'd wish that life on a lot of people. But.
He says these things, and it's just like, did you really think before you said it? So I get why people are tagging him. He doesn't make it easy on himself. So
No, I don't think it seems like he does not care either.
He doesn't care. He absolutely. There's one thing about him. If you don't know and you've never heard anything about him, he does not care about your opinion. He is also the gentleman that Sam and I talked about last year during the season that went into the stands and was going to fight the person in the stand. So it's just. He does not care.
Who was heckling him for not caring?
Yeah.
And there was a time where he told the reporter last year, like, "No hablo inglés," like, and he just walked away. Like, he's whatever.
He's just that guy.
He's
you want a sound clip, put a microphone in front of him, and that's just it. Let him.
Guy's a loose cannon.
Yeah,
this does not surprise me from him. But it's like it's just if it was anyone else, it probably wouldn't even be talking about it. But I just wanted to get your perspectives on it because that's all I've seen on social media today. And rightfully so.
It's an interesting one. Yeah.
It is. Sam, close us out here so we can get out of here because it's late.
Yeah, Hayes needs to go to bed. Thanks, guys. I don't even know what episode it is, but 124, 125. We're stacking them up. Thank you, Harrison, Brandon, for a fun time as always. Tell your friends, listen, follow us on Instagram at Chasing Points Podcast. So for Harrison and Brandon, I'm Sam. Thanks so much for listening. And until next week, bye.
I'm just going to sleep. I don't have anything for y'all this week. Goodbye.
Yes, let's go.
Whatever.